What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Call of Duty Warzone. Before we get any further in this video though, the 98% of you guys watching the video right now are subscribed to the channel, so if you haven't done so yet, make sure you click that subscribe button to be kept up to date on everything to do with Warzone, Call of Duty 2020, general discussions and more. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today, what I thought I'd want to do is sort of have a sit-down conversation with you guys and sort of talk about the state of Warzone, how it's been going along for the past 4 months since it's been released, the state of the game right now in terms of metas, in terms of popularity, in terms of everything really. So I just kind of wanted to talk about my overall opinions on the game and how it is at this point in time. If you go back 4 months ago to March, Modern Warfare wasn't really in a fantastic place. Not a lot of people were playing it. Not a lot of people liked the game either. And for me personally, I barely played it. I barely played Modern Warfare multiplayer before Warzone came out. Like before Warzone, I barely clocked any hours into this game. And as a result of Warzone coming out, Modern Warfare really has been reborn for me. Like I've played this game. I've played this game more than I've played Black Ops 4. Definitely, I think to be honest, I've probably played Modern Warfare more than I've played any of the Call of Duties in the past, ever since Black Ops 3. So what's that? 5 years. Like I barely played Black Ops 3. I barely played Infinite Warfare. I played a lot more Modern Warfare Remastered actually. I barely played any Black Ops 4. So yeah, like I barely played any World War II. So Modern Warfare definitely, at least at this point in time, is the Call of Duty that I've played most of, and that's pretty much because of Warzone. So Warzone really sort of reignited that sort of spark in me again for Call of Duty, and I think it did for a lot of other people as well. The release of Warzone was so successful and it was so sort of, I guess maybe random is the word as well, but also not at the same time, because if you think about it, it's really good what Activision and Infinity Ward did here with Warzone, because they didn't sort of lock it behind a paywall, which is what Treyarch did with Blackout. So you didn't have to buy Modern Warfare in order to play Warzone. You could if you wanted to, but you didn't have to, because it was free to play for everyone, and the cross-platform was the biggest thing as well, because this game you could play with literally anyone. Whether your friends had PS4, Xbox One, or PC, this game was free to play and it was available to cross-platform with every single person, therefore making it a lot more accessible and a lot easier for people to play with their friends. And I guess for me at least, you look at it, and the way I look at it is sort of like this Modern Warfare was on a downward slope, and then Warzone came out and it really just shot it out of the park. Like Warzone was the catalyst for Modern Warfare's success. If we didn't have Warzone, I probably wouldn't be here right now, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be talking about Modern Warfare. I may not even be talking about Call of Duty. Like Warzone really, for me, saved this channel for a lot of reasons. Because if you look at my videos before Warzone came out, it was a lot of like me just not being happy with the state of Modern Warfare, me not being happy with the sort of design and the sort of, I guess, philosophy, as like those sort of aspects to do with Modern Warfare's multiplayer. I really wasn't having a good time with the game. Like the YouTube side of it was really awesome, because I was getting to express my opinions and all that sort of stuff. But Warzone was the real thing that pushed my channel into that next gear, and it's really taking me to a place now where we're pushing for 1,000 subscribers, which I never thought we'd ever do. And it's sort of reinvigorated my spark to sort of do things creatively here on YouTube, especially with Call of Duty, because I've always had ideas to do creative things with other means, just not with Call of Duty. But now Blank Online, like this channel, is my main focus, and it's really all down to Warzone. If you look at it, it's really all down to Warzone. And I guess for that aspect, Warzone has been a massive hit for me, and I guess for a lot of people as well. So and that sort of thing, in terms of like its initial release and popularity and that sort of stuff, Warzone is a success. If you look at the game right now, for me at least, it's a little bit stale, because the thing with it is that we've had the same map for 4 months, and I think the good thing that Fortnite does with their game, and what Epic Games does with Fortnite, sorry, is that the map is constantly changing. There's always new things coming in, there's always things rotating in and out, and I think that what Infinity Ward is doing here is that they're relying more on each season being a rotation in the drop weapons, being a rotation in the battle pass, being a reset of your officer ranks and all that sort of stuff, whereas Epic Games looks at every season as a revamp. And I think that for Warzone to continue to be successful, and I guess for Warzone to continue to have the sort of magic and spark that it has, I think that it needs to look at each season not as an update to a battle pass or a resetting of ranks, but look at each season as a revamp. What can we do to change Verdansk? What can we do to change the weapons, the meta, and all that sort of stuff? Because at the moment we have had a meta shift, and I'll get more into that in just a second here, but I think that the game as a whole right now has gotten a bit stale because we haven't had anything new. Season 4 didn't really bring anything new or groundbreaking or changes to the story or developments in anything really to Warzone. So essentially we've been playing the same game for 4 months now, and the beauty of Battle Royale, and I think that why Battle Royales are so successful, is because you can change the map. You can change things to make things a lot more exciting, a lot more fresh, a lot more sort of, I guess, just a brand new experience, because you're not sort of tied to, I guess you're tied to the way you play the game, but Epic Games and PUBG have shown that you can do more with Battle Royale. You can have the core gameplay of dropping into a map and getting to the last person, but you can do a lot more than have it be just that. You can have a story, you can have an ever-changing map, and I think that that's one thing that Infinity Ward is lacking here with Warzone. I think that they're banking on the fact that this is a grounded, gritty, realistic Battle Royale, but then you come into the problem where you have this big fan base that is always constantly wanting change, is always constantly wanting something new, something different to play around with, and if you're not adhering to that, then you're going to lose those people. Personally, I don't have any sort of, I wouldn't say I don't have any desire to play Warzone. The desire to play Warzone is just not as much as it was, say, in Season 2 and 3. Obviously, because Season 2 and 3 were all starting to get into it, and I think that they missed an opportunity here with Season 4 where they could have done a lot more, especially since we did have the bunkers late on in Season 3. Everyone's sort of hyped up, everyone's getting ready for the story, everyone's getting ready for map changes, everyone's getting ready for a nuke. It was really disappointing that nothing happened in Season 4, and nothing has happened up until this point in Season 4 either. So I think that moving forward, Infinity Ward needs to be a lot more a lot less resistant to change. I think that Warzone is a fantastic map. I think that Verdansk is a fantastic map, but it's the same map for 4 months. I think that they need to bring about some POI changes, some map changes, some different things, like just change up the formula of Warzone, and then we're going to be in a better place. Let's talk about the overall meta right now in Warzone. At the moment, it's a bit weird because you still see people running around with the Growl, but you see a lot more variety now. I think that in previous seasons, it was just Growl, MP5, MP7. That was the things you'd see. That's the things people would run. But at the moment in time, the meta is a bit more scarce. You see people running around with the FAL. You see people running around with the Bruin, the M4, the M13, the MP5, MP7's obviously there. You see the odd Fennec here and there as well. You see Growls there as well, and for me at least, I don't really run Growl anymore because it doesn't feel like the same weapon to me. Yeah, I guess for some people it does, but for me personally, I don't really run it. For me at the moment in time, the metas that I'm running is M13 and Bruin. It's interesting to see how the meta sort of shifted as soon as that patch came out. I think it was 1.23 off the top of my head, and how that sort of shifted the meta here in Warzone, because you had people struggling and people sort of trying to find what the next best weapon is. Another weapon that I see a lot is the Kilo 141, which is also very, very good. So there's a lot more variety now, and that's only a good thing. Honestly, for me right now, the meta is not anything that it's sort of like, bloody hell, everyone's using a Growl, or bloody hell, everyone's using a Bruin. Like, there's a lot of variety right now, and I don't see that being a bad thing at all. I think one of the things with Battle Royales is that every match is different because you get different loot every single match, and I think that the one thing that sort of hindered Warzone was that you do have loadout drops, and therefore it doesn't make us such of a, I guess, a random experience. Like, it's sort of, you get your loadout and you sort of set, and you sort of use that loadout every single time you play, therefore making it a bit more, bit less random and a bit more stale every time you play. I think that's the best way to put it, because you're sort of using the same guns all the time, and especially pre 1.23, it was the same weapons every single time. If you weren't using a growl, you were putting yourself at a disadvantage. But right now, there's a bunch of different variations, there's a bunch of different weapons you can use, and at least in my opinion, in terms of the meta in the state of Warzone we're in right now, I think we're in a really, really good place, and I didn't see any problems with it. I don't see any guns being super duper overpowered. You can argue that the FAL is super duper cracked, but you have to be accurate with it. You have to have some sort of trigger finger with it, so it's not for everyone. You can argue that the Bruin and the M13 are super duper overpowered right now, but then you can argue the Kilo is overpowered as well. And I think that when you get to a state where you have so many different things competing and so many different weapons are OP, I guess that's the term you use, then really no gun's overpowered. If you have all these overpowered weapons that everyone's using, there's not that one gun that's better than everything else. That was the Growl. The Growl was that one gun that was better than everything else, and at the moment it's not. And at the moment there is no gun that's better than everything else. You could argue maybe MP5, but then you can argue again that from medium to long ranges, MP5 really isn't it. So it's like I really like where we're at with Warzone's meta right now. I really like how there's a lot of variety. I've always spoke about it. Every time you talk about meta weapons in Warzone, I've always spoke about finding a sort of balance between having weapons that are good in the game but not having one weapon to dominate. And I think that we're at that place right now where there's a bunch of weapons that can dominate in the game, and then there's a bunch of weapons that people choose to use as well. And I think that's only a good thing. It's not really a bad thing that there's all these different weapons that people are using, because end of the day, you don't want to keep dying to a Growl every time. It was always infuriating dying to a Growl every single time you played Warzone. Now you can die to a Kilo, you can die to a Bruin, you can die to anything. People are experimenting, people are using off-meta weapons, and I think that's a testament to not only to the balancing of the weapons, but also to Warzone's variety as a whole, where people argue that Warzone has no randomness, has no variety because you have loadout drops, and I'd argue that to a certain point that's true, but I'd also argue as well that with people trying different weapons in and out here, and with so many weapons being viable in Warzone, I think that adds to sort of that randomness as well. So in terms of the meta right now, I'm really happy to where it is at this point in time. Where I'm not happy with Warzone and the state of Warzone right now, two things. Hackers are still very prevalent, and skill-based matchmaking. We'll talk about hackers right now. There is a lot of hackers in Warzone, especially when you're in cross-play lobbies, especially when you're trying to play with people on different platforms. The PC hackers are the main ones, and the PC hackers are the main ones that are sort of ruining the experience for everyone else. I think that it's good that Infinity Ward releases statements saying, we're actively looking for people, we're actively implementing this feature and that feature, but I don't know, it's hard to know what they're doing, and it's hard to know how heavily they're cracking onto hackers here in Warzone. But it's been a problem for a long time now. It's been a problem ever since the game came out, really. All those aimbot hackers and the sort of the X-ray hackers and all that sort of crap. Like it's really frustrating. Like, and you know what's happening as well. Like, you know when someone is hacking, but when you just randomly get shot out of nowhere, or you randomly down out of nowhere, those situations where people just, it's either it's hard, right? It's hard to know when someone's sort of doing it as well, because when you're in sort of like a gunfight and someone instantly snaps on and locks onto you, that could be either they're really good at aiming or they're hacking. Like it's hard to know there in that situation as well. But there's a lot of hackers right now in Warzone, and it's not something that really should be in the game, and it's really not something that I guess anyone should be proud of doing, but they do it anyway for whatever reason. So I think that Infinity Ward needs to be a bit more strict and needs to crack onto it a lot more, because it is still happening. Even though they released the feature to report players and they did all of this, like they really need to sort of crack onto it, and it's getting frustrating to the point where it's like, another one. And it's not even frustrating to the point where you get really angry and you rage. It's just frustrating to the point where you're just annoyed and you're just like, yep, here we go again, another dude hacking. Like it's at that sort of point for me, at least right now. So I think that they need to sort of crack onto onto that a lot more than what they have been in recent times. And skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking, for me at least, is ruining Warzone. It's at the point right now where it's like, what can I do to have a fun time? What can I do to sort of not feel like I need to try 100% try hard every single time I play Warzone? What do I have to do? Because you can try partying with people who are of a lower skill level to you, but then at the point where you start having good games with them, their skill rating is going to go up, and then you eventually get back into the same lobbies you were before. So you're always in this constant cycle of recycling who's party host, who's searching for lobbies, and then eventually all of you are going to get to the same point where you're at the same or at a higher skill level, and then you get matched up with even more sweaty people. Like, I get having fun to some people can be shitting and like trying hard and sweating it out and doing all this sort of stuff, but for me, man, like if I want to use a fucking Odin, I want to use a fucking Odin. I don't want to be constantly put in a corner of where I have to use my best loadout every single time. I just want to use the guns that I have fun with, and I think that's one of the reasons why, especially pre 1.23, why the Growl was such an attractive thing, because you had to use the best weapon in the game in order to do something in late game especially. So for me at least, I've done plenty of videos about skill-based matchmaking, and I don't want to fully get into it here, but for me, skill-based matchmaking, at least in this state of Warzone, is really affecting this game mode for a lot of people. Not just me, not just random people as well. Like, a lot of content creators, a lot of people on Twitter are sort of going against skill-based matchmaking, is saying how it's ruining Warzone, because it really is. Like, it's for me at least, and I think that's for a majority of people as well, it's no fun sweating it out every single game. Sometimes you just want to have fun, right? Sometimes you don't want to sweat it out. And again, I say it every time we talk about skill-based matchmaking, because every time it comes up, it's not a thing about me wanting to shit on people every time I play the game. Sure, having a competitive game is good, but having a game where you feel like you're playing for $1 million at the end of it isn't every single game is not fun. It can be fun maybe for 2 games. Maybe if you want to try hard for 2 games, sure, go ahead, do it. But you don't, every single time you drop into a game, you don't want to, like, especially when you're on the fucking pistols, especially when you drop in and you have people sweating it out to shoot you out of the air, like, fuck off, man. Like, that sort of shit is so annoying. Like, oh, we're gonna fucking shoot the man in the air, we're gonna laser the man in the air. Fuck off, man. Like, get that shit out of here, dude. Like, it's annoying. It's annoying to say the least that we're in a situation right now where, in order to keep the casuals playing, you got to implement a system that ruins the experience for other people. But it is what it is. It's going to be in the game. But for right now, the state of the Warzone, yeah, man, skill-based matching really ain't it. But I think that's sort of all I sort of wanted to talk about. Warzone is, at this point in time, Warzone is a little bit stale, because there's nothing really new going on, and there's nothing really new happening with the game. Skill-based matchmaking is kind of ruining the experience as well as the hackers in the game sort of ruining that whole thing. But as a whole, to be honest, Warzone has definitely made Modern Warfare a better game. Warzone has definitely made this game a lot more fun to play, and Warzone is still fun to play. Even though it's super sweaty, and even though it's annoying dying to hackers, for some reason it always brings me back. For some reason it always makes me itch to hop on and play the game. But I don't know, maybe that's just... maybe that's addiction. Maybe that's just me being a Call of Duty fan. I don't know. But anyways, guys, that's all I had for today. That's all I kind of want to discuss about the state of Warzone right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below. What is the state of Warzone right now in your opinion? What do you think about the game as a whole right now? What do you think about the metas, skill-based matchmaking, hackers, everything and more? Leave it all in the comments down below. Click subscribe, as I said at the start of the video, if you're new here. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.